Hey everybody, welcome back to Baseline Farms. My name is Jade. So, my gosh, since the last video, so today is Monday, January 16th, and since the last video that I posted, we have had quite a bit of rain. It has rained steady non-stop. Today has been the first day that we have had zero rain all day, and it was lightly sprinkling earlier, but it's been so nice. So yeah, non-stop rain, and our pond, as you can see, is completely full, and it drains out into our neighbor's pond, and it just keeps flowing downstream over there. So this is our winter, we have a winter stream that goes through our property, and this happens every year, so it just kind of flows on the back of our property. I wish it was like all year round, but it's all right. I take what I can get. So I don't know, I was talking to John. There was so much water coming down. We had so much rain that I was telling John, maybe we can figure out a way where we can collect some of the water, you know, that comes down from the gutters or things like that, so we can water the containers around the house and, you know, just try to use as much as we can instead of having to use our well water. Because we are on well and septic, so, you know, it'd be nice to try to utilize all the water we can possibly use if it's coming down in an abundance. But I haven't really been out in the garden. I came out here, we had this really downpour, and so after the downpour I ran out to the garden just to see if there was any damage, but I haven't cleaned up anything. I haven't worked in the garden. We kind of just obviously been inside because it's been non-stop raining. So we're just gonna go through and see what is happening in the garden together. I have been going through our seed catalog and looking through seeds because I am planning on ordering some seeds. I don't need that many because I have a ton of seeds that I still have from last year. But I thought maybe I order a couple new varieties to try out, like some new varieties of tomatoes. What else was I thinking? I was thinking of the tomatoes and then something else. I think some cantaloupe and some peppers. I wanted to try a couple hot peppers. So yeah, so that is what has been happening. All the animals have been doing really good. The stall, Bella's stall, is so muddy. We have to figure out a way to drain the water out of her stall. We were able to bring the tractors home from the parks because John is unable to work at the parks. They're completely flooded out. It's going to take a while for them to dry out. So he brought the tractors home, so we need to dig a couple canals around the barn to drain the water away from the barn. So I keep seeing myself in the video wearing camouflage, and it's so weird to me because I've never purchased camouflage before ever. And I just recently bought these Carhartt coveralls because they were having a sale at the Tractor Supply store, and I'm always down for a good sale. And these particular coveralls are insulated and waterproof, but they're youths. They're youth size. So this is a size 16, and it fits me perfect. They're actually too long. So I got these on sale. They were originally $70, and I got them with 20% off, and they were the only ones, and I needed a pair of warm coveralls to be able to come outside and, you know, work without getting wet. And so I got these, but it's so weird to me because let me tell you, I never thought that I would ever be buying myself anything camouflage. So I look like a hunter. But yeah, let me just give you a quick tour of what is happening in the garden. I haven't really been through there at all today, so we'll just see it together. All right, let's take a look. All right, so over here we have our raspberry bush and our blackberry bush. And so far, the blackberry bush is doing really, really good. But the raspberry bush has gone dormant, and I still need to pop it out of this container. So I'm still looking, you know, this is our first dry day. I think tomorrow's supposed to rain again just for a little while, and then we're supposed to have dry weather after that. So once it's safe to transplant, I'm going to transplant this into a temporary container because we do have a couple garden beds that don't have anything in them right now, and they're not even ready to go. And so I'm debating whether or not, I said it in the past where I wanted to put one of these into a little square garden bed like this one. Let me show you. Like this one right here where I have some onions in. Because it would be a good size. I could put one with the raspberry and one with the blackberry, one on each side of the garden. So I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to do that or not, but I definitely need to separate these two. So, and this one's doing so good. It has so many new little babies. Let me show you. All right, see, do you see that little guy? So there's quite a few of them on there. So that's quite exciting to have all this little new growth for this blackberry bush, because I wasn't sure. We barely got any blackberries last year. So I'm hoping that we get some blackberries this year. So yeah, so this plant is doing so good. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see if we get an abundance of raspberries from this little bush here. But as far as the onions go, so right here we have a bed of red onions and some yellow onions right there. And these beds are doing really well. Now I have not weeded anything, and I noticed there's a ton of weeds that I need to get to, and probably right now would be a good time since the ground is nice and wet. So I have a couple of garden beds right here that I did not plant anything in, and I'm just going to hold out and wait until I'm ready. I am going to fix the beds. Some of them have sunk. They just look horrible right now. It's just been so wet and muddy. I'm sure everyone's heard it all over the news. It's been nonstop. But yeah, it's just been so nasty out here. So over here in this garden bed, we have some carrots. So we have 2 rows of carrots in the front here, you know, that are actually doing pretty good. And the spinach in the back is looking really good. Now, when we were having that super big downpour, I came out here and this garden bed was completely filled with water, and it was not draining fast at all. So I was really worried, you know, I was really worried to see if these guys were going to make it or not with the amount of water they were literally drowning in. So yeah, so this is exciting to see that they're still, you know, hardy, they're still alive. So let me give you a good look as to how the carrots and the spinach are doing. All right, so here are the carrots. You can see they're all doing pretty good. They're still tiny, but they're doing good. And then here are the spinach, and look at that. The spinaches are doing so well. So everything in this bed so far, so good. So over here is garlic. We have a ton of garlic, and the garlic is looking really good. I just cannot wait to harvest garlic and onion. There's just so many of these little eucalyptus branches in here all over the place. So yeah, I cannot wait to harvest a bunch of this garlic. Now we grew garlic just a little bit last year, and it turned out so good. I just cannot wait. It just has so much flavor. All right, so over here we have our lemongrass, and the lemongrass is still doing really good. We have still a ton of stalks in there. I'm sure I could give it a haircut. I've said that before, but we just haven't had the time. Just so much rain and just so many things to take care of. But it's still doing really good. It still has a ton of stalks in there that we could utilize. And so I have been so pleased with this lemongrass. I do have another lemongrass in another half wine barrel that's doing excellent as well. So let me go and show you how our little lettuce patch is doing, where we have our 1 cauliflower. Okay, so over here, this is where I had a bunch of lettuce that I planted, that I sowed into the garden bed. And it was doing pretty good. And then, you know, we just didn't eat it as much. So I know for next year, I'm not going to plant that much lettuce. I'm probably going to plant more spinach than anything. And as far as the spinach goes, the spinach is not doing too well in this garden bed. I'm not quite sure why. It just hasn't been doing good since the beginning. So I don't know if this bed is lacking some sort of amendment, because the other bed that I planted the spinach seedlings in, or that I sowed the seeds in, are actually doing really well. So I'm not too sure. I'm sure that I'm probably going to have to amend this soil and probably add some kind of fertilizer in there. But as far as the cauliflower goes right here, I do have one cauliflower, and it has a little, let me show you. It's so cute. Do you see that little guy in there? Look at that. My first cauliflower. So that's my first cauliflower ever. I've never grown cauliflower before, so that is so exciting. Now I did plant more seeds, more cauliflower seeds, but I don't know what happened. They just did not take off, and they just kind of all died. But I was really surprised. So after that rainstorm, I came running out here. Now I hadn't come out here for a few days, and when I came out here, I was so pleasantly shocked and surprised to see how much broccoli we had. Let me show you. Look at that. I have so much little broccoli heads right there. I mean, almost every single one of them has a little head for me. So I am so thrilled and so excited because this is a bunch of different varieties of broccoli, and they're all doing so well. Look at that. I mean, just amazing. Now last year I planted seeds way early. I started all of my seeds on January 23rd, which I felt was, now that I know, was way early. And our estimated last frost date for spring is supposed to be between like March 1st or March 5th or something like that. So that's just an estimated date. And so what I'm going to do, because last year when I started them so early, our garden was not ready yet. And the weather just wasn't ready for them either. And I did plant some stuff out in the garden, and some of it did die because we just weren't ready for the weather. We did have a frost that rolled in. So this year, I'm going to start my seeds a little later. I'm probably going to start my seeds in the early weeks of February, the first couple weeks of February. And that way it won't be so hard on me. I won't have to harden them off like by bringing them in from inside to outside and things like that, because hopefully by then the garden, it'll be nice and sunny by the time they're ready to be transplanted out, and the garden will be ready for them. So over here in this garden bed, we only have 3 turnips. Now when our power was out, I did harvest some carrots and some turnips, and we were able to make some chicken soup on the wood burning stove. So that was so nice, and it was so cozy and warm to be able to eat some chicken soup, and especially be able to come out to the garden and harvest a few things, which was really awesome. So yeah, so that's how this garden bed is doing. Now we do have some celery, but the celery is just not really moving. It's super tiny, so tiny. So I'm not too sure if maybe it's springtime, maybe we're gonna get some celery growing, but I'm gonna have to figure out what to put in this bed, because I am gonna let the celery grow and see what we get. Now over here in this bed, in this little pot, I did have a grass that my dad brought over, and I'm not too sure if it's gonna survive. I hope it pops up in the springtime. So we'll see. But it's supposed to look like a lemongrass, or it's supposed to be very similar to a lemongrass. Okay, so over here is our first rows of carrots, and we have so many carrots. Oh my goodness, we have so many, and they're so good. Oh my goodness. So I grew some carrots that were red on the outside, but then when you cut them up, they're orange in the inside, and they are so good. When you buy carrots from the store, yes, they taste like carrots. They have a flavor of carrots, which what we think of carrots are. What they're supposed to taste like, oh my goodness. So when you grow your own carrots, the flavor is amazing. It is so strong. Oh my God, it is just so delicious. And yeah, it's amazing. There's like a rainbow. I could see a rainbow. I don't know if the camera's gonna give it any justice, but it looks like it landed in our field. So yeah, the carrots are amazing. So if anyone wants to grow carrots, this is my second year growing carrots. Last year I just succession sowed 1 month after another and had so many carrots in the springtime. And so this year I did the same. I did, you know, a couple rows here and then a couple rows here, and then I did some more rows on that other bed over there. But yeah, I am so pleasantly surprised and pleased with carrots that I know now that our soil does really good. We can grow carrots very easily. They are not hard to grow at all. You could just put them right there in the ground in the soil and just let Mother Nature do its thing. But oh my goodness, do you see that? I don't know if let me see. There's a rainbow and it looks like it's right across the street. Let me see if I could zoom in. Oh, let me see. There, do you see that? That right there is a start of a rainbow. That's so cool. I don't know why rainbows still take my breath away. I just love looking at them. I don't know why. I mean, they're just so beautiful. All the different colors, the prisms. So yeah, so here is the cabbage. Let me show you how it's doing. So here is all the purple cabbage that I grew, and I did start a couple of these are Brussels sprouts, and I did just sow these right into the garden bed, and so far so good. Everything's doing really well. We don't have any little cabbage heads yet, but I'm hoping that we'll get something soon. But man, these carrots are looking really good. That's so exciting. Okay, so over here we have our lemons, our Myers lemon, and nothing yet. So I hope we get something in the springtime, and I'm really looking forward to this becoming a cute little tree full of lemons, because that is so exciting. We go through so many lemons during the summertime, you know, just making lemonade and things like that, that it would be so nice to be able to have our own lemons. So all of these plants we are waiting to put out. You know, we had that crazy rainstorm and things like that, and windstorm, and I just did not feel good to put my hellebores. I have a bunch of hellebores that I could put in containers at a couple job locations, but I just do not feel comfortable putting them out there because I don't want to lose them. And then, can you believe this, guys? Okay, so my job now, you know, since not being a hairstylist anymore, is I redo commercial containers. So I just put, you know, I go out to some of the locations and I just go and find some plants, some perennials and some annuals, and I just pop them in there and make it look super cute, you know, with the spillers and stuff like that. And it's very fun. I really enjoy doing it. But people actually steal plants. I mean, oh my goodness, I could not believe that someone stole one of my little Christmas trees. Someone took one of my little cyclamen. I had some cyclamen for the holidays circling the Christmas tree, and they took that too. So I was so bummed out. I could not believe that. Do you hear that? That's John playing the drums. We have a set of drums in our... Look at that. Talk about to let out frustration. All right, so now to the little garden. Let me show you what's happening before the sun goes down. We look like we're having a beautiful sunset. Whoopsie daisy. So let me show you what's happening in the little garden. So first, I was telling John that he bought me some roses. So I bought these roses. This is my first, first rose ever. I guess first, what would you call it? First bouquet of roses? I don't know. So I bought this because they were having, you know, there was only 3 of them left, and they were having a sale at our local nursery, and I couldn't pass it up. This is called Dark Night, and oh my God, let me show you what this looks like. I hope you could hear me past all that drumming, but look at this. Isn't that such a beautiful rose? And it's called Dark Night, and it can tolerate the heat. How pretty is that? I cannot wait to see what the roses are really gonna look like once they come in. But let me show you what's happening in this little garden, because this little garden, I feel that after all of the onions and everything, you know, have been harvested, I'm gonna make this garden into my cut flower garden. I feel like we just need a cut flower garden on this property, And what better place to put a cut flower garden than right here, right in the very front, like right near our house and things like that. So I think this is going to be so beautiful, full with color and things like that. But right now we have a bunch of onions. So in this first 2 rows right here, we have some red onions. And then in this row right here, we have some garlic and a bunch of other plants. It's so funny. So John's never played the drums before. He's just banging on them. But look at all these hellebores. Oh my goodness, and they're just about to bloom. They're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. Okay, so right here in this garden bed over here, we have some yellow onions. So I have 2 rows of yellow onions, one in the back here, one in the front, and in the middle section we have some red onions. And then right over here on this side, we have some white onion in this first row, and then I believe we have 2 rows of white onion, and then some random red onion. But that's pretty much what is happening in this garden. Not very much of anything, just a bunch of garlics and onions. Other than that, everything else is doing pretty good. We just have a bunch of water everywhere, standing water everywhere. John was able to grab the tractors from the park because obviously he's not going to be working at the parks anytime soon since it is completely flooded out and muddy. So he was able to bring the tractors back. So hopefully he could dig some trenches around the barn and get that fixed. And I'm so glad. This barn, I can't even, John and I talk about it. When we had this guy, we had one of our friends, which we've known him for some time, and he came to work on the barn, and we told him, just put as many screws as you need in this barn because we have such high winds that come through this area, strong winds. So we told him, use as many screws as you need. And he did. And let me tell you, this sucker did not budge. Yeah, that's what you need to do. When you build an old barn, or when you refurbish an old barn, you just better use as much screws as you can. And we were able to get a bunch of wood because our neighbor from across the way over there, he sold his house. And when he cleared out his house, because he built the house from scratch by himself. And so when he built that house, he gave us a bunch of wood that was left over that he had before he moved. And so, yeah, we were able to use that wood to rebuild this place. But as you can see, look at that. We have some standing water that we need to remove from the barn. Bella's stall is so muddy. So just this area right here where, you know, her little common ground area is so muddy. But yeah, a lot of work to clean up. I'm so glad that John was able to cut down that tree, that limb that fell. It was such a huge limb. But yeah, that's pretty much what is happening on the farm. All the animals are doing really well. The chickens are doing really well. But I noticed, you know, there was one little chicken that used to climb onto Orange Chicken's back, our pygmy goat, and used to always ride him around. They were like buddies. And I noticed that he's not as you know, he's not as plump as she used to be. She used to be a little bit more plumper, and it looked like she's lost a little bit of weight. So I hope everything's okay with her. She's probably just sad. And you know, I think the other chickens are kind of mean to her, so I try to give her a little extra worms. I try to take her and, you know, pick her up and give her some extra worms and some extra loving, just because I can. But yeah, I'm about to lock up the chickens right now. And also our chickens, since the rain, now we probably, do you hear him? So we have been getting about 4 to 5 eggs a day, about 4 to 5 eggs a day. So not that many. We do have 19 chickens. So I'm hoping that, you know, when the time comes, when it's time to get more chicks, I'll be able to get a few more chickens, some baby chicks, to at least have 24 hens. This is how we lock them up. just so that way, you know, no predators get in there. But that is pretty much what's happening on the farm. Thank you for hanging out with me, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So take care, be safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.